Imagine a monarch, complete with a gilded military uniform, beaver hat, and a cane, strolling the streets of a major American city. Now imagine that the city, the press, the police, and the entire population during the height of the Democratic Gilded Age treated this man not as a lunatic, but as their legitimate sovereign. He issued his own currency, abolished Congress, and levied taxes, and everyone played along. This is not fiction. This is the true story of the most bizarre and beloved figure in American history, a man who, in the 19th century, was Emperor of the United States and Protector of Mexico, an astonishing, powerful, and forgotten royal who reigned from the streets of San Francisco. His name was Joshua Abraham Norton, and his rule began with the simple, utterly insane act of putting an advertisement in the newspaper. Part 1. The Fall of the Merchant Prince, 1818 to 1858. The Promise of the Pacific. Joshua Abraham Norton was born in 1818, likely in London, though his early life is shrouded in a convenient, self-created haze. What is certain is that he arrived in San Francisco, California in 1849, just as the city exploded in the fever of the gold rush. He didn't come to pan for gold. He came to sell the shovels, the supplies, and the very foundation of civilization to the frantic miners. Norton was, by all accounts, brilliant, sharp, and intensely ambitious. He arrived with a modest fortune, around $40,000, inherited from his father, and immediately parlayed that into a vast commercial empire. He became a fixture in the burgeoning city's elite, a merchant prince. His business dealings were daring, often audacious, and almost always successful. He traded in real estate, bought up bankrupt holdings, and cornered markets with a relentless energy that was pure, unadulterated American capitalism. By the mid-1950s, Norton was wealthy, a respected citizen, and a pillar of the community. He was the epitome of the San Francisco dream, a self-made man who had conquered the raw, chaotic energy of the West. The Rice Folly, a ruinous gambit. The turning point, the spectacular crash that would eventually lead to his crown, involved rice. In 1857, a severe famine struck China, causing the price of rice, a staple for San Francisco's large Chinese population, to skyrocket. A merchant ship, the Glide, carrying 200,000 pounds of Peruvian rice, was reported as lost at sea. The price of rice surged to an unbelievable 9 cents a pound. Norton, seeing an opportunity for a spectacular profit, quickly entered into a contract to buy the entire cargo of the presumed lost Glide for 102 cents a pound. A massive overpayment, but one that he calculated would pay off when the price continued to climb. But here is where fate, or divine intervention, as Norton would later claim, intervened. The Glide was not lost. It docked within days, and its arrival was immediately followed by several other ships laden with rice. The market was instantly glutted. The price plummeted, not just to 9 cents, but down to 4 cents a pound. Norton was obligated by contract to buy the massive cargo at 12 cents. He fought the deal in court for 2 agonizing years, believing the contract had been breached due to misrepresentation. The case, Norton versus Glide, dragged on, becoming a scandalous public spectacle. In 1858, the Supreme Court of California finally ruled against him. Joshua Abraham Norton, the merchant prince, was ruined. His fortune was gone, his property seized, and his social standing destroyed. He lost everything but his life and, most importantly, his prodigious sense of self-importance. The shock of the loss, the betrayal of the market, and the public humiliation broke his mind, or perhaps freed it. Part 2. The Imperial Edict, 1859 to 1869. The Proclamation, an express want. For a year, Norton disappeared from public view, likely grappling with his catastrophic downfall. Then, on a bright September morning in 1859, the astonished staff of the San Francisco Daily Evening Bulletin received a handwritten, deeply solemn document. It began, "At the peremptory request of a large majority of the citizens of these United States, I, Joshua Abraham Norton, formerly of Algoa Bay, Cape of Good Hope, and now, for the past 9 years and 10 months, of San Francisco, California, declare and proclaim myself the Emperor of these United States." He signed it simply, "Norton, I, Emperor of the United States." The paper, rather than tossing it into the trash, printed it. They saw the value of a spectacle in the staid political columns. The next day, he issued his first executive order. Congress was hereby abolished. Edict 1. Abolishment of Congress. We do hereby abolish the Congress of the United States of America, as the said Congress have on 2 frequent occasions violated the laws, by reason of which the country is suffering from an oppressive and unjustifiable extravagance. The reason for his action: Congress was filled with fraud and corruption, a charge that, ironically, resonated with a populace deeply frustrated by Washington politics, especially over the looming shadow of the Civil War. The response was not laughter or a straitjacket, but a sort of collective, benevolent shrug. San Francisco, a boomtown, a place of wild, unbridled self-invention, decided this was the most fantastic and original performance art ever conceived. They loved it. The imperial regalia. To be an emperor, one must look the part. Norton procured his imperial wardrobe through an unpaid account at an Army-Navy surplus store. His typical daily attire became a faded blue military-style frock coat adorned with tarnished brass epaulettes, a plume-adorned beaver hat, typically a tall, slightly crushed top hat, a sword, sometimes, usually a dull cavalry saber that often got in his way, a cane or umbrella, which served as his scepter, a badge, proudly displayed, proclaiming his title. He was a walking, breathing anachronism, a bizarre mix of Napoleonic splendor and threadbare poverty. He took his role with unparalleled seriousness, inspecting public works, checking on the police force, and attending to his royal duties. The imperial currency, Norton's bonds. Emperors need a treasury. Lacking a printing press or a national mint, Norton began issuing his own imperial currency, imperial bonds of indemnity. He would write small notes from 50 cents to $10 on heavy paper, signed with a flourish, Norton I, Emperor. He promised to redeem them with interest in 1880, a date that conveniently arrived after his death. A subtle, dark joke, perhaps. Astonishingly, local merchants and bankers accepted them. Not only accepted them, but preferred them. A Norton dollar was a genuine piece of San Francisco history, a novelty that drew tourists and served as a token of the city's eccentricity. A merchant who refused to accept the emperor's notes often risked public ridicule or a scathing review in the press, which he always got if he complained. This was not charity. It was civic participation in the grand theater of Norton's reign. The money was real because the people agreed it was. The imperial decree against Frisco. One of his most famous and successful decrees was issued in 1872. Whoever after due and proper warning shall be heard to utter the abominable word Frisco, which has been used in contemptuous disregard of the city's name, shall be deemed guilty of a high misdemeanor and subject to a fine of $25. The use of Frisco as a nickname was rampant and loathed by the city's elite. Norton, in a moment of brilliant cultural insight, spoke for the snobs, and his decree stuck. To this day, many native San Franciscos strictly avoid the term, a lasting linguistic legacy of their emperor.